Hello everyone, welcome back to the Shintaro Higashi Show with Peter Yu. Today it's going to be the Peter Yu Show with Shintaro Higashi. We're going to talk a lot about systems and ideas and innovation, where Peter's an expert.
Yeah,
But we have to
I don't know if
thank
I
our
could-
sponsors first,
Yeah.
Jason, Levon, and David. Thank you
Yeah,
guys. Without you
thank you
guys, we
guys.
can't do it. Judo TV, discount code Shintaro. I'm going to Georgia for the Grand Slam to commentate, so please check
Yeah.
it out. Use my code. Also, Shintaro Higashi's HigashiBrand.com. Sponsoring my
everything.
own
Yeah.
thing.
He'll be the new face of Judo TV, guys. Shintaro with the
That's
new face.
the plan, right?
Yeah, that's so
We'll see how
exciting.
that goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So today, I think we want to talk about how judo, like to some of the things, people talk about how you learn so much from judo, and then how those things translate into their real lives, and
Yeah.
I'll talk about how I took the learnings I got from judo into my own work, which is currently research AI. I'm trying
Yeah.
to get a PhD. It's just been a crazy journey. So yeah, that's the topic today. It's a kind of out there thing. We're not really talking about judo
Yeah.
exclusively. Hopefully,
Are
people
we talking
like
about
it.
like parallels in thinking, or are you thinking about like judo in your work environment where someone doesn't fund you and you slam them on
Oh
the head?
yeah. Well, we can talk
we're
about
talking about that?
both. We can talk about both. Exactly. When my undergrad assistant doesn't do the work, I'll give a stern talking to.
Do you have an undergraduate assistant?
I used to have a couple, but I stopped taking them on because I think the
Yeah.
biggest problem is that they are so busy with their classes, and that should be
Yeah.
their priority unless they want to go to on a research thing. So I didn't get much out of them, so I kind of stopped taking them on. That's
Oh,
like
that's too
yeah.
bad.
I know, yeah. But anyway, so
Yeah.
I think so. I've been thinking a lot about
Yeah.
how to be a good researcher, like, and then what
Yeah.
does a researcher do? A scientist is basically identifying. It's not just about solving problems. You have to identify the right problem to solve, and that's very hard. That's I think
Yeah.
even harder than actually solving the problem. And
Yeah. And I guess that's something relatable to judo martial arts too. right?
yeah,
Like,
so
I can't finish Uchimata, and then it's like, hey, can you teach me Uchimata? Right?
right.
What's the problem?
Yeah, exactly. And I
Yeah.
think it's not about just like, oh, for example, we talk about this a lot, right? Like when you watch a YouTube video and then you're like, oh my God, the thing that Shintaro does with the Georgian grip is so cool. I'm going to
Yeah.
learn it. That's not
Yeah.
the right problem to solve necessarily. That might not fit your system. You may be creating a problem that doesn't really exist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So how do you find the right problem to solve?
So I think the best way is you have to know the basic techniques, the fundamentals. So you can't just go out and like say you can't even do a seoinage, and you can't just go out and try to learn like the variations on the seoinage, Korean seoinage,
Reverse
all this
seoinage.
reverse
Yeah.
seoinage, or like the way you enter different things, drop seoinage, without actually knowing the intricacy of just the textbook throw. And I realize that I feel that a lot when I do research now. You can't just go out and, for example, just read research papers. That's just like just watching YouTube videos.
Wait, but isn't that the fundamental to learn the actual text? Like, where's the repetition?
In my field,
Yeah.
it's not just about reading research papers and also and just like learning the material. You also have to know how to make them, like how to implement the research ideas. Like you have these theories, right? Like the model architecture should be like this, and then you have to use this type of data, and then this type of loss function, whatever. I'm kind of throwing all the
No,
jargon.
I love it. I love it.
But ultimately, you have to. It's more of a computer science thought to be the show me field in science, because you have to actually
It's like the
write
judo
the
of
code.
the martial
Yeah,
arts
it's
world.
I kind of like that. It's like a show me field,
yeah.
because you can establish all these theories or whatever, but ultimately you have to make it happen. You have to write the
True.
program
Yeah.
and then run
Yeah.
experiments to show that it actually works.
Okay, quick question. So
Yeah.
computer science, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 1 year ago, now, right?
Yeah.
Like the trends change, right?
Yeah.
Like there's some meta that happens in grappling too,
Right.
with Georgian grip and this and that, and what's popular now, drop knees, uki,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So like, is there something similar in?
Of
there
course.
must be in tech, right?
Dude,
so
it's- of
where
course.
was it 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 1 year ago,
So
and now?
yeah, so I've been in the field 10 years, for about a little
Yeah.
over than 10 years now, because
Yeah.
I graduated from college in 2013.
Mm.
And back then, the big thing was the meta. Back then was big data and distributed systems. So that's when the internet was popping.
That's
You
right.
know?
Girls used to have a T-shirt say "Data is a new bacon." Remember
Yeah,
that one?
yeah,
Big data.
exactly.
Yeah.
So at that point, people were just just gathering data because the
Yeah.
internet was really popping off.
Mm.
I mean, of course, it was growing before, but it was more like social media companies were getting really popular. So they were, and the
Yeah.
lay people were interacting with the internet more. It wasn't just about these nerds going on this message boards and talking
Yeah.
about nerd
Yeah.
stuff. Like
Yeah.
your grandmas were coming on Facebook, you know?
That's true. That's true. It's
You
like
know?
with judo, and then now jiu-jitsu, and then you got like
Yeah,
Master
exactly. It wasn't just all the Olympians training in judo, or it's more like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
all the, so 10 years ago, that's why my first job was a advertisement technology company, which means like, that was another meta. Like, how do you monetize these free services? You run ads, and then there's a lot of things that happen in order to run ads, like show you ads.
Yeah.
So
That was before App Nexus.
that was App Nexus. That was
That was App Nexus.
Yeah, that was
I
App
thought-
Nexus.
Okay.
App Nexus was the company that,
So what happened trend-wise after that?
So that around 2012, so I guess that was like the peak of 2012, 2013 was the peak of big data, distributed systems, and But then something crazy happened in AI. Basically, until then, from the 80s till then, AI was kind of a second citizen field because
Yeah.
again, it goes back to the idea of being a show me field. AI researchers put out all these new systems, but just didn't work. They couldn't show people they worked. So funding dried up. People stopped paying attention. It's called the AI winter. But then in 2012, this guy, actually the chief scientist at OpenAI, Ilya Sutskever, and his lab mate published a paper, but developed a new system that could recognize, classify images, like identify what's in the image really well. It was like it was almost as if their model was almost like, I don't know, it's like, I'm trying to think of a good analogy in judo. Like it kind of like Ono Shohei, kind of like they were just running through people. That model beat the next best model by like 10% or something. I forget the name.
Yeah.
That's when people started paying attention back to AI. So that's
Let me ask a question.
change.
You know how like, are you a human logging in? Pick all the squares with bicycles in it.
Yeah.
Does that have anything to do with training AI, or what is that?
So
about?
I think it kind of does. My understanding is that you're actually helping label the images a little bit. It's not so. There's a lot of different ways. You actually don't even. You know, sometimes you don't even. It wouldn't even show you an image. You just have to click on it.
Yeah.
So that works because it's differentiating you from a bot by just tracking the mouse movement, like the way you click the button.
Okay.
Because the human, we click the button differently. So, but then if the confidence level is low, it starts showing you the image. And my understanding is that sometimes they'll show you like images that are already labeled, but sometimes it'll show you images that are not labeled. So you're almost like kind of helping label the image, like where the.
Then how will they know
are.
if you picked it right or not? Like picked all the
think
traffic lights.
I don't know the details, but I think it's more about like you can show the same image to multiple people, right? And then see what the agreement is between them. Something
so it
like
is
that.
AI related.
Yeah, so then that data, that labeled image can go back, can be fed back into the AI system, and
You
then
know, it'd be funny one day, man. You get
What?
like pick the one that's Uchimata versus Hanegoshi. It
oh,
becomes
dude,
take
that
Could
you know what?
imagine?
I
I'll break the internet.
That's actually a good idea. Like I don't judo throw classifier. Like you show a video and then
Yeah. We're
you
definitely
know-
not solving a problem that is actually a real
That's
problem.
is it a good problem? Do we actually
Definitely
need that?
not. Let's stop wasting our time on Hanegoshi Uchimata. No one gives a shit, guys. Stop. Just train, please.
But yeah,
Yeah.
so those are the meta changes. So then
Yeah.
AI, so it kept once that system showed
Yeah.
a big improvement, people started saying, "Oh wow, all the data
Yeah.
we've been collecting for the past 10 years
Yeah.
can now be processed through this new paradigm."
Mm.
It's an old paradigm that's been rediscovered and then shown
Yeah.
to work again. But yeah,
Yeah.
so that's the meta change. Old becomes new, new becomes old, right? Like even in Judo
Yeah.
BJJ meta, right?
Yeah, of course. Recycle.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of the meta change for the past 10 years that I've been in the field.
So what problem are you trying to solve now?
So I am solving, my thesis will be around videos and large language models. So I can go into more details, but the basic idea is, you know ChatGPT, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm trying to make it so that ChatGPT, something like ChatGPT, can also understand videos. Like
Since
can
when
tell
are you
them-
working on this? Because I thought you were doing AI chatbot stuff for a little while.
Yeah, so
Natural language.
yeah, so I used to when I entered the lab. That's another meta change. When I started my PhD in 2020,
Yeah.
the pure language models, just the AI system that only process language,
Yeah,
were thought
yeah.
to be unsolved. Still, like there was a lot of challenges involved.
Yeah.
But then OpenAI basically took everyone by surprise in a way.
Yeah.
So ChatGPT, they didn't like their ideas weren't all new, but they took all the learnings from other researchers. A lot of it came from Google actually,
Yeah.
and then they just took it to the max. And it turns out that's actually the key. You just have to do it in a larger scale, and then it just works really well. To the point where a
Yeah.
lot of the pure language tasks, basically it made me think, you know, also this disclaimer is that there are researchers out there who are all still working on the pure language tasks, and I'm not trying to like, you know, diminish their research. But for my personal interest, I thought there was no more room for me in that
Yeah.
pure language world. So I thought, you know what, maybe I need to incorporate other what they call modalities, like language versus plus image, language plus
So
sound.
you pivoted.
So I
Sometimes, right?
pivoted. I
When you're
pivoted.
doing standard stand-up two-handed judo and you're going against the Japanese or somebody been
Right.
doing their whole life, you kind of have to find your way to force newaza or
That's
something
right.
and transition,
Yeah,
right?
I mean that's exactly what I did.
Yeah.
I thought I had to pivot because
look at Jack Yanetsuka. He's like
Yeah.
kind of has judo-specific newaza that works really well for him, and he wins the majority of his matches that way. You know?
yep. I mean
It's
American
not
judo,
jujitsu,
yeah.
right? It's he's not gonna lock up and stand up and do high uchimatas and things like this,
Right.
You know, I mean, I'm sure he can, but you got to pivot and find your own niche, and then you got to stay with it to kind of win and get ahead of the pack.
Yeah,
right?
that's my niche. Like this this idea, this videos and language. That's my special newaza move, I guess. This
Is that why you started the Descript situation? Is that how you got into
no,
that?
I got into that first. So actually, doing the podcast, it kind of helped. It's kind of funny how life works, right? Like because
Yeah.
I started dealing with video editing. I'm not doing anything crazy, but
No.
during the process, I had to learn about how videos are actually saved on the video on your computer and how they are streamed, and I kind of had to teach myself about these details, and that's when I realized, you know what, there's a lot of challenge. There's a lot of challenge that you know that not a lot of researchers are looking at. You know, because
That's like black belt thinking right there. Because for me, it's like compress, make it big, take it, drag it, put it in YouTube.
I mean, in the process, like, you know, if you keep doing, I mean, this is one other thing that's why I think you need the fundamentals. I'm not saying, I wouldn't have realized that this is a problem by just reading research papers. Like same as like this know-how, like this hands-on knowledge is, I think, very valuable. A lot of times people overlook that. It's not just about reading books. It's you gotta actually go out and do it. It's not just about watching YouTube videos.
That's what they say, right? F around and find out.
Yeah, it's actually kind of like that. Like you can't just mess around just reading things that other people have done. You actually have to do it. So that's why even in pure language tests that I didn't think, eventually concluded that it wasn't for me. If you actually sit down and do it, there are still a lot of challenges, you know, this know-how. But it just didn't interest me that much anymore. So
when did you pivot to the video?
It's been about a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm sure
there's a lot of people working on this too, right?
Yeah. So, but then but also my niche, even with videos, that's like the big umbrella. But even within videos, I'm like going more into like a specific niche. Tell me.
Are you allowed to say it?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I have a paper out, so it's.
Where can we find this paper? Well, how come you're not sending me this paper? You don't think I can read?
Well, it's no, of course. I don't think it's pretty niche, so I don't know if you will find it interesting. I'll send it to you.
I can read the abstract, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it says it in English.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
So my thinking is that, so I was involved in a project that dealt with the HoloLens. You know the HoloLens?
No.
So you know Apple Vision Pro, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
so
awesome.
Microsoft had a similar thing, like way before. So that's the problem with Microsoft. And Apple's is amazing at it. Like they wait until other people do it and then make it better. But anyway, that's aside. But I had a project that I had to work with video. This headset, wearable, that will transmit videos back to the computer, and I had to do something with that video. Right. So now that's a different challenge now, because if you go back to how you look at how you use ChatGPT, it's more turn-based, right? It's like you type in a message, it responds, go back and forth, take turns.
Yeah, and some people are very, very good at this, and it's a field called prompt engineering.
Yeah, that's right. This guy, he's getting his hands dirty on this, and then he's gonna figure something out. Shintaro.
All because of you, though. You've been inspiring me to take a look at these things, and I'm not gonna lie, it's helped me write a couple of captions for Instagram. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, I use ChatGPT all the time to write my descriptions for the podcast and all that.
Yeah. If you guys haven't seen like me fighting the junior world champ on my Instagram, there's like a little snippet that's written, and I kind of just told how I was feeling to the ChatGPT, and like make it more legit and caption friendly for Instagram.
And then it does it, right?
Instantly did it, and I was like, okay, my work is done.
Yeah, and now you can do other better things.
Yeah,
how great is that?
Time.
That's
great.
Anyway, so that's turn-based, but in wearable, everything gets transmitted in real time. It's more interactive. Like videos, there's a stream of videos coming, there's a stream of sound coming, and my niche is that, like, instead of turn-based interactions, how can we make these models work better in this more real-time stream interactions? That's my eventual goal. And there's some other really niche technical challenges that I need to solve, and that's the paper I just wrote. It's under review, so like hopefully it'll get in, but so there's
Can we vote on it?
Yes. Yes. I wish
Reddit.
that
Up,
I know. I wish I could. You can vote on it. There's like a whole programmer social media kind of thing where you can host your code. So you can give me a star if you would like.
Right.
But anyway, so that's my niche right now. So, but I was able to find this niche because, of course, I had to read a lot of papers to get the basic knowledge. But at the same time, I had to really get my hands dirty and then work. Like I had to really do a lot of randori basically.
Yeah.
Try to figure out what the problem is. What is the actual problem that needs to be solved? And then I could go back and read more like papers that are more appropriate, like more related to the problem I'm trying to solve. So it's like me going. So I was like going with this, for example, like with Shintaro. Then man, like he's so good with this position. I just couldn't figure out how to break his high collar grip or something. And then I like would go back to your channel and then try to look up specific videos that address that issue. Try to get inspired, like what kind of things. And then when you apply to your specific situation, you have to tweak it a little, right? And that's I think is research.
Yeah, and you watch it, you learn it, you go do it, and then you have other problems, and then you go back to it, and maybe they answered that question, maybe they did not.
Exactly.
Maybe they answered it, but it just didn't log properly. But now you have a different perspective, different idea. You internalize that information. Now you have more questions, and then when you watch something else, maybe the ideas connect, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's got to be the same in
It's
research,
exactly
right?
the same, and it's kind of doing research helped me enjoy judo more because I've been seeing all these parallels and vice versa. So I honestly think I've gotten better at judo just by doing research.
Yeah.
Because I see that this is how it works. Like I can do the same thing for judo and then back and forth.
So let's hear about your processes for the PhD going in reverse. What are some ideas about judo and theory that you have right now?
So right now, I've been briefly mentioned it, but I've been working on my Uchimata a lot. So I used to be my niche was Seirinage and Taiotoshi. I'm not a tall guy. I'm not a strong guy. So my niche was that, I need to rely on my technique and speed to get under people and then throw. But I realized that as I got older, it's been, my speed has decreased. My knees are not as good, so I've been having knee pains a little bit.
Or rotate on the elbow and shoulder too.
Exactly.
Sometimes, right? Yeah.
So I needed a better way to. I didn't want to excise like Seirinage or Taiotoshi from my game. That's my bread and butter. Like but then I needed a way to really save it until the end. Like it's like my finisher, right?
Yes.
So I needed a way to stay on my feet in the beginning stages, and then finished off with, Taiotoshi or Seirinage. So and then I realized that Uchimata actually is a very, very good throw for that. So I've been playing around with it a lot. So of course, then I have a problem right now. I identified a good problem. I need to develop my Uchimata. Incorporate into my judo game in the earlier stages. So I watched a lot of your videos. Obviously, I went back and then watched all your Uchimata videos. I went to watch a lot of videos of Maruyama, Ono, and I wanted to watch the middleweights a lot. I didn't really watch the heavyweight Uchimata.
I'm gonna send you a link. Remind me one of the paid video stuff, the Uchimata instructional, the Ochi Uchimata instructional. I put it on YouTube as unlisted.
Yeah.
I'm gonna send you the link.
I think I might have watched that. As I have an editor.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I watched it.
You pirating motherfucker.
Yeah, you need to pay for this, but
Good, yeah. Purely special privileges.
Yeah, so I basically went out and read the prior works, on
prior works.
Okay, that's what they're called, and then I started trying to implement it. Of course, so I will try Ono's setup and Maruyama's setup in randori. I wouldn't even go for any. Like I had practices where I didn't try a single Seirinage, for example.
Nice.
Because I would just force myself to play, and then of course then I would, this is another thing that you talk about. Like I wouldn't go against black belts a lot. I would go try to do it on white belts and green belts, the intermediate people, so that they
load in every white belt in there.
No, I was very gentle, of course. I was very gentle. Then I'll go back to the drawing board. Then you get to refine the problem better. Like what's the even more niche thing? I wasn't pulling it off. Should I try the different entry, different way to unbalance people?
Because a lot of that stuff is not explicitly taught, right?
No.
And a lot of it is feel
Yeah.
for you too. Because
Yeah.
only, you could say like, all right versus left, they're putting this weight on this lead arm.
Yeah.
How do I lift it? You could force it. But sometimes like finding a way to like let them not think about that arm and do something else, other
Right.
threats. So now then you can lift it when they're not thinking
Yeah.
about it. That stuff is all like a lot of that
know
stuff's
how
feel.
feel, and then
No?
that actually happens in coding and engineering and research too. You need this intuition, and then I don't really believe that some people are born with it. I think yes, maybe some people are more talented at identifying. Maybe they have more interest in it, so they just watch or read more. But ultimately, what you need to do is you just need to do it. Like you have to code. You have to actually code or try to build something. Or in judo, you have to do randori, or more like if you can't do randori, more the drills you talk about, more like with the people that give you more resistance.
The role that might be analogous to like the dojo or the teacher.
Yeah.
Right? You're at Michigan right now.
Yeah.
Right. You Mich?
UMich, yeah, in Ann
UMich.
Arbor, yeah.
And then so you Mich, and then having the guy who's the professor that is in charge of your research. What is that called?
Advisor. My advisor. She's a she's a great advisor, yeah. And so I will bounce off ideas with her, basically.
So would she be the sensei equivalent?
So it depends. There are a lot of different types of advisors. I would say mine's more of a hands-off advisor. So she's tenured already. She already has some a lot of research experience. But then like I said, the meta has changed. So she'll be more like the traditional Japanese judo sensei kind of thing. That's how I view it. And so she has a lot of knowledge herself, but the meta has changed. So she's not as familiar with my meta, right? The videos.
Yeah.
But she helps me how to frame the paper, how to frame the story, how to set up the experiments so that to make my story more convincing to other people. Because research also is not about just like, let's put out the discovery and idea. You need to convince other scientists. That's the peer review process. You need to be able to convince other scientists that your work is worth it.
Yeah. I mean, same in judo, right? You got to go out.
Like
you
it's
can't
like the
be
competition. Yeah.
Bombing white belts doesn't do anything. You gotta go
exactly.
You got to prove your thing. You prove your theories, ideas.
So
you seek this advisor out, but it's not the same advisor, right?
I thought. So basically, how I got in was I had two advisors. I was co-advised by two, but the older gentleman and my current advisor. Yeah. Because I thought I could do something together with all three. But ultimately, the older gentleman retired, and I just decided to just work with this current
I remember
advisor.
before you even went in, you were emailing the guy, hey, I read your paper, hey, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
it's equivalent to someone emailing me, hey, bro, I watched your
right.
video, it was amazing, I want to come train with you. I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. I guess
and then when they show up, right?
That's exactly it. So for me, because I didn't do a lot of research in undergraduate years, I need to kind of take a more personalized approach in my graduate school admission process.
Yeah.
So I reached out, I went through the list of professors at University of Michigan because I knew that I would only want to go to the University of Michigan because I was going to be in Michigan. Yeah. Yeah, and then I picked out these two professors and I emailed them. I read the papers and I was like, hey, I think I want to do something along the line. Like, kind of like, like a Olympic hopeful would come and email and like, hey, can I live in your apartment and then train with you kind of thing.
So when you finish this thing and then you become a PhD and you have your niche, eventually you too become a professor, right? Some professors do research and some professors teach, right? It's a little bit of a parallel there. Both industries, no money.
So
right?
There's teaching positions, there are research positions, but even in research positions you're kind of required to teach also.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But some professors right? They teach one class.
Yeah, usually they
Yeah.
don't teach that many. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
And
so
we're talking full professors, not like adjunct or anything like that, right? Professors on the track to get
like a tenure track.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
whole different thing, right?
I don't. So I'm not too familiar with it because my plan is not to stay in the academia. I want to go back to the industry. So I'm not gonna be a professor.
What would be
Yeah.
the equivalent of that in judo?
I would say opening up. I guess being a professor is more like, I don't know if the analogy would be correct, but maybe
Yeah.
going to the Olympics would be like, or like trying to stay as a competitor, maybe staying in like academia,
Mm.
but but opening up a dojo yourself might be like going into the industry.
Yeah.
Maybe it's more
That's right.
lucrative in the industry.
Yeah, I guess all right. Open up your own dojo would be the equivalent.
I don't know if it's like exactly the right analogy, but something like that. There are many paths. I
Yeah.
don't think staying in academia is my path.
Why?
Yeah.
Because there's no money in it.
No, I mean, there's that too, but I just don't think my talent will be right for academia.
Yeah.
I think I'm.
All right. So once you
Yeah.
decide on this niche that you've already decided on, and
Yeah.
do you see like a path? What is the path after that? Like in an ideal world, like you finish your PhD in the next 2 years. Is that right?
Next year, hopefully, in a year.
Next year, and then what do you do
Yeah,
right after that?
I'll look for a job. So my plan, I mean,
I mean, you could
It's
come
very
to New
rough.
York and teach
Yeah.
tiny champs at my dojo.
yeah,
if you'd like,
maybe,
you know,
yeah,
it's,
that's my backup. So my plan is to like again, I want to build up my street creds basically. I want to
Street
do
cred, okay, I
more
love that,
like
yeah.
I want to do more hands-on work. So I want to join a research lab in a bigger company in the industry, so that I can. I can already
Yeah.
tell people that I'm a decent engineer because I've a 7-year experience at pretty and with good work experience. So now I wanna
Yeah.
kind of say I did my PhD, I did some more further research in industry,
Yeah.
so that I can tell people that I know how to do it, and then maybe join a smaller company as a higher up person.
All right, so let's just
Yeah.
say, right, someone listening works in that field. If you were to give your like 2-minute resume, right? Oh, I worked at AppNexus, went to Princeton, you worked at Etsy, right? You were a programmer
Yeah,
at Etsy.
Etsy. I worked at
Blah blah
another
blah.
startup,
PhD.
yeah.
If you were to give your like 1-minute elevator pitch, maybe someone listening. Probably not. Because, it's just a bunch of grapplers. You know
No,
what I mean?
there are a lot. Isn't that like a thing? Like a lot of tech people are doing BJJ now or something.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Maybe.
My
Yeah.
elevator pitch would be that I am.
Maybe Mark Zuckerberg's listening because he likes jujitsu
Oh yeah,
now.
dude, he does. Hey, he's got decent BJJ.
All right, sell
respect
yourself to Mark
Mark
Zuckerberg.
Zuckerberg. All right, Zuck. I
Tell him that you even before that movie came out, you were like drop the like you already said that. You've been saying that.
So one thing I can really say about to distinguish myself is that I can wear the engineer hat as well as the researcher hat. So I am not only trained to find good problems, but also I can solve them in a more practical sense. Like, because a lot of time in academia, when you identify a problem and then you solve it in a very haphazard way, you don't have to set up like the right infrastructure or anything, because the goal is to prove that your problem is good and can be solvable. But I'm more of a generalist in the sense I can identify the right problem to solve. I can propose a good solution, and I can even implement it. Basically, I can really show my work.
That's awesome.
That's I think that's what I'm trying to build myself up as. Yeah.
Yeah, I think everyone who does grappling needs to be able to kind of have that too, right?
Yeah.
They have to be. Some people just go in and then just practice the techniques that have been taught, and they never really make the connections.
Right.
Some people learn, this guy's teaching this and that, and they're just kind of copying it and then trying to do those things and making their body. But some people are truly innovators, right? They just like kind of.
In the judo sense, yeah, like my goal would be to, like, not only can I do the techniques properly, like in the the whole like pretty way, right? And
Yeah.
but also I can identify new problems, and then actually implement it in randori. Like I want to be a good. I want to stay as a judoka that can do randori with anyone. Like heavy, light, tall, short. I try not to shy away from, like, I don't ask people for their weights, for example. Oops, I almost fell. Yeah. Yeah, so that's kind of in the judo, and then there's some parallel to my professional career, I guess. Yeah.
Love that. That's so interesting, man.
Yeah, so I think that's what I got out of judo.
Yeah.
Especially around innovation and how to identify the right problem.
Yeah.
How to then do the research to find a solution and actually implement it.
Nice. That's great stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was fascinating, dude. It was
Yeah?
really interesting. Yeah.
Wait, maybe you should. Did I inspire to become more of a researcher?
I mean, I've been doing a lot of prompt engineering stuff. with
Yeah, I
ChatGPT.
know. So now this is your, now at the phase where you're like learning, you're doing all the uchikomis,
Yeah, yeah.
and then maybe you're dabbling in the randori a little, like trying to solve problems that you actually have, and now you can come up with new ones, like the new problem that no one solved before.
For sure. I was asking it to do like woodblock prints and like Monet, Manet, Impressionist style things, and like experimented with that because now they could generate images.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like not hyper realistic images, they can't do that at all. And human body is very difficult. But like you said, landscapes, things. There's archives and archives of art that are already been created, and you can say, hey, make this color different or make this more right, whatever it is, and make it futuristic, throw this in there, throw that. It's like so cool what you could do. You could be kind of like an artist without actually having the skill of it, or just like prompting it. So
I think that'll be a new form of art too. A lot of people are already doing that kind of work.
Yeah, and that was kind of my idea with Higashi brand. I'm gonna put like a Japanese woodblock print ukiyo-e style, like with the big wave, but in like impressionist style, with very vibrant colors, and slap it on the back, and call it my own design, even though AI came up with that, right? So,
I mean, it's like you're collaborating. You're using a tool. I don't think it's like people drawing on the iPad instead of like a canvas.
That's true. That's true.
In a way.
Yeah, but I'm experimenting with it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, there are other things too. Other models out there too. So you should definitely experiment. That's like doing uchikomis right now, randori. Yeah.
I mean, even like copywriting, I get solicitations for that all the time. Hey, can I copyright for you? Hey, can I do this? Hey, this is an email thing that I've already copywritten for you. Like, would you be interested in my services if I could give you 3 emails for free? Can you give me a call if you do
I didn't know that.
I get that all the time. Every day I get like 2 or 3 solicitations like that. Yeah. And it's usually some kid on the other side using ChatGPT. I'm almost certain that it's,
nowadays,
yeah, they're not writing them themselves. Like, what, this kid, didn't even go to college and he could write better than me? Get out of here. Maybe, but like, so I've been kind of experimenting with that, and sending out emails to if you guys haven't already, go to shintarohigashi.com and sign up for our email list. I send out emails very rarely, but every now and then I'll be inspired, and by me sending out emails I mean Lewis, who is an actual copywriter.
Wonder if he uses ChatGPT.
I don't know. Maybe he does, but he's a little bit older, and he's been doing this for a long time, way before this.
Right. So he probably
ChatGPT stuff. So he probably actually writes it himself.
He probably has more like the hands-on knowledge that ChatGPT can't replicate.
Now. And you know what? I think once you start implementing something like that, you could scale, and you have much bigger capacity to do more stuff in terms of like workflow becomes better, productivity becomes better. You could prompt with the proper context and the specificity to produce what you actually wanted to produce in a much more shorter amount of time. Yeah. So I think that's kind of
I mean, that's the way. I don't know how it's become, but like prompt engineering I think it's becoming its own field, more like a skill. Yeah.
I mean, there's some people that are like, hey, dude, prompt engineering is just proper grammar and proper speaking and proper requesting things and communicate, right? It's like just communicating.
Yeah, really. It is like we've invented this thing, and now how do we get the right information out of it? It's almost like there's no manual yet, so you guys we're all figuring things out. You're figuring it out, man.
You know what? Maybe I'm like a yellow belt in that.
I am not good at prompt engineering myself, so I'm right there with you. So.
Some of these videos are ridiculous, though. They're like, here, let me teach you how to be a prompt engineer. And it's like, what you need? Context. Hey, I'm a judo YouTuber. Yeah, what do you need? A script for a video that may go viral. Specificity, like in a 1 to 2 minute
Oh wow.
thing. And it's
I
like,
didn't even know that.
no shit, no
Yeah.
shit. That's like, who doesn't already do this to begin with?
You know, but that kind of video is so. If you go back to find the analogy in judo, it's like boutique judo dojos versus like the
Yeah.
scaled up dojos, right?
Yeah, yeah,
That would be like the judo curriculum,
yeah.
and then you just. Of course, it's not the best. Like it's
Yeah.
kind of rigid, and then maybe it's not as personalized as your instructions at your boutique gym, but
Yeah.
you could.
That's a good idea. You ready for
Scale
this
up,
one?
I guess.
I'm gonna ask ChatGPT to create a 10-week judo curriculum, a 5-week judo curriculum, a
Yeah.
20-week judo curriculum. Just sell it.
Sell it.
I would
yeah.
do that. That's unethical.
Well, you probably have to give a lot of information about it. I
That's
don't know.
true.
I don't know. I mean, it's gonna be a conversation, right?
For sure,
Yeah.
for sure. Man, that's so interesting.
But
If
anyway,
you guys
yeah.
want to find Peter, where do they find you?
You can find me on Instagram. I don't really post a lot on Instagram, but I do interact with you guys. If you
Yeah,
message
send
me,
him a message. He will
Yeah.
always respond.
I'll put
Peter
it down in the
loves talking to
description below.
strangers on
Yeah.
the internet.
It's by Kuno Peter. Kuno is my Korean name, and Peter is
How do
my
you spell
middle
it?
name.
How do you
Yeah,
spell it?
Keunwo. Is it Peter Kuno or Kuno Peter? I forget.
I forget. Let's see it. Look it up.
Yeah,
For the people, man.
It's Peter Kuno, I think. Peter Peter and Keunwo. Yeah,
Nice.
and you can
Good
reach.
for you.
You can find me there, and of course, I'm the producer of this podcast, so I you can find me on Discord if you're a Patreon supporter. Yeah, and if you leave comments
Yeah.
on YouTube for podcast videos, or I think Spotify, you can leave comments. So I read them. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. If you want to hear more about Peter, please leave a comment. Let us know, and then
Yeah.
we'll do more of these. This is so interesting. Dude.
I hope you
I
guys
loved
liked it. I mean,
Yeah.
you
I
know,
loved it, so I'm
yeah.
sure everyone else would like it too. I mean, why wouldn't they? I
I hope so. Yeah.
it was judo related.
It was judo related. I really
Yeah.
think there's a lot of parallel.
Tons.
Yeah. So. That's
Any
right.
pursuit of excellence.
Yeah.
All related.
Exactly.
You gotta put the time
Hey,
in.
that's a quote. That's a quote. Any
Yeah.
pursuit of excellence. Did you just come up with that?
Yeah, it just came to me.
Oh my god.
It's genius stuff.
I know. That was good. Any pursuit of excellence is the same,
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
All right.
Well, thank you everyone for listening. Please sponsor us, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah. Bye.